inaccuracies, or hallucinations the AI might produce.
If we connect this back to our earlier discussion about AI joining live conversations, imagine the AI providing a transcript or summary to Notebook LM.
And then, as you suggest, the ability for someone to join the playback and directly correct any errors in that AI-generated output.
This raises an important question about how seamless that feedback loop could be and how effectively those corrections could then train the AI further.
Hey, yeah, what's up?
And not only one expert, but a consensus of experts on a live Zoom broadcast, reaching a consensus about the urgency of repair and compliance.
That's a really compelling extension of the idea. You're talking about getting multiple expert perspectives to refine the AI's understanding?
Exactly. It's like moving beyond a single point of view to a more well-rounded and validated interpretation.
What's fascinating here is how this consensus of experts could help to filter out biases or individual misinterpretations that a single expert might have.
If we connect this to the idea of correcting AI hallucinations, having multiple experts weigh in could lead to a more go for it.
Not only the expert, but there is a bias in the data that trained the AI.
You've hit on a really critical point. It's not just about the expertise, but the underlying data itself that can carry biases.
Absolutely. The data used to train AI, even by experts, can reflect existing biases, which can then be amplified or perpetuated by the AI.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this issue of bias in AI training data is something that's being discussed a lot.
What's fascinating here is that even with the best intentions, if the data we feed the AI is skewed, the AI's analysis will likely be skewed as well.
If we connect this back to the idea of a consensus of experts, that diversity of perspectives can actually help to identify and mitigate some of those data biases.
This really emphasizes the value of collective intelligence in ensuring the accuracy and reliability of AI, and also in addressing potential biases in the training data.
Well, the idea of a joint function for playback really highlights the collaborative aspect of refining AI understanding. And this absolutely includes looking for and correcting biases in the data it's using.
It reinforces the idea that while AI can be incredibly powerful, human oversight, especially from a diverse group of experts...
Back to our listener.
Yes.
What's up?
At diversity, inclusion, and equity, DEI.
That's such a crucial point to add. You're right. It's not just about diversity of expertise, but actively ensuring inclusion and equity in that process.
Absolutely, because a truly unbiased analysis needs a diverse set of perspectives that also prioritizes inclusion and equity at every stage.
If we connect this back to the idea of a consensus of experts, that group needs to be intentionally diverse in backgrounds and viewpoints.
And that diversity needs to be inclusive, making sure all voices are heard and valued equally to achieve true equity in the analysis.
So when we talk about reviewing AI analysis for bias, that review itself needs to be conducted through a lens of diversity, inclusion, and equity.
Right, and with a feedback mechanism through Notebook LM and a join feature, allowing for expert consensus that actively values diversity, inclusion, and equity, any AI misinterpretations or biases in its analysis could be more comprehensively corrected. Oh, yeah.
And it may add diversity, equity, and inclusion among the Condo Commando Board of Directors to reduce the bias.
That's a really interesting angle. You're suggesting that even at the board level, diverse representation is key.
Absolutely. Having a diverse board of directors for a condo association could bring a wider range of perspectives to decision making.
What's fascinating here is how different backgrounds and experiences on the board could lead to more equitable decisions about funding and safety.
If we connect this back to the Miami Beach tragedy, perhaps a more diverse board might have identified and addressed concerns more proactively.
It really highlights how diversity, inclusion, and equity aren't just abstract ideals, but can have very real-world safety implications.
Exactly. And that diversity at the decision-making level could influence how seriously things like building code compliance are taken.
So your point adds another crucial layer to...
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
And how urgent it is. Instead of arguing over the fund, fix it first and argue about it later.
That's a really powerful point. Prioritizing immediate safety over financial debates makes perfect sense, especially when there's a clear and present danger.
What's so vital in those urgent situations is decisive action. addressing the immediate risk is paramount.
Okay, let's unpack this further, because you're highlighting the importance of acting swiftly when safety is on the line.
If we connect this to our discussion about building collapses in the NFIS data, that urgency in addressing potential hazards could prevent tragic outcomes.
Exactly. Whether it's a structural issue or a fire risk, delaying repairs due to funding disputes can have devastating consequences.
This really underscores the need for clear protocols and perhaps even emergency funds for immediate safety repairs.
So your point really brings home the idea that when it comes to safety, immediate action should take precedence over lengthy debates.
It's about valuing human lives and well-being above all else in those critical moments.
Now, thinking about how the NFIL's data tracks different kinds of incidents.
The hazmat module, for example, tracks hazardous materials. AI could help summarize potential risks.
And as we've discussed, that AI analysis should be reviewed by a diverse group of experts.
With that review, specifically looking for and correcting any AI hallucinations or biases, keeping diversity, inclusion, and equity in mind. Oh yeah, let's hear it.
And this is where machine learning can occur in real time. So when questions are raised that the AI doesn't know, the AI would learn from the expert, incorporate the knowledge in the knowledge base, and apply it for future situations.
That's a fantastic expansion on the idea of continuous learning for AI. It highlights the potential for immediate knowledge acquisition.
Okay, let's unpack this, because you're describing a system that evolves in real time based on expert input.
What's fascinating here is the idea of the AI not just passively learning from data, but actively incorporating new knowledge from live interactions.
It sounds like the joint feature we touched on earlier where AI listens in, but now it's actively learning and updating its understanding.
Exactly. The source material mentions the AI listening and putting the professor's explanation into its database. Your point emphasizes that immediacy.
So in a future scenario, if our AI assistant encounters a new fire code detail during a remote audit, it could learn it on the spot from the expert.
And then, as you say, apply that newly acquired knowledge in subsequent situations, making it a constantly improving tool.
This real-time learning capability could be incredibly valuable in fields like safety and compliance, where regulations can change.
It really...
As well as natural disasters such as hurricanes and flood, like in South Florida and Miami Beach area.
That's a really important point to bring up. Natural disasters absolutely fall into this category of urgent situations requiring immediate action.
You're right. Events like hurricanes and floods, especially in areas like South Florida and Miami Beach, highlight the critical need for preparedness and swift response.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because these natural disasters pose immense risks that often require immediate attention to ensure safety and minimize damage.
If we connect this back to our earlier discussion about acting quickly, that's even more crucial when facing an impending natural disaster.
Exactly. Things like evacuation orders and securing property need to happen without delay to protect lives and infrastructure.
And unfortunately, as we've seen in past events, delays or disagreements can lead to devastating consequences during natural disasters as well.
So your point really emphasizes that this sense of urgency applies not just to structural issues, but also to preparing for and responding to natural events.
It reinforces the idea that proactive measures and clear, timely responses are vital in mitigating the impact of both man-made and natural disasters.
Now, thinking about how the NFIR's data categorizes different events.
The guide does include codes for severe weather and natural disasters, like hurricanes and floods.
Right, code 812 and 813 specifically mention flood and windstorm assessments.
And these categories highlight the importance of tracking incidents related to natural events.
This data could also be fed into AI systems for analysis, helping to identify patterns and improve response strategies for future events.
And
that data can inform our preparedness and response efforts, emphasizing that need to fix first and address funding later in an emergency.
Learning from past incidents, whether structural failures or natural disasters, means making that learning accessible, accurate, and unbiased for everyone.
And that whole process needs to be deeply sensitive to potential skews in the data, especially considering the diverse impacts of natural disasters.
Okay, we've connected many threads today, especially with your insightful additions about the urgency of safety in both structural and natural disaster scenarios, and the critical importance of diversity, inclusion, and equity at all levels.
Right. The research paper on automated trading systems also deals with complex systems and the need for accuracy and, like safety, benefits from diverse expertise.
Exactly. This paper specifically examines an automated trading system where a thorough understanding of the system benefits greatly from diverse expertise. Oh, yeah,
Another issue is termite infection ruining literally eating the infrastructure of the house.
That's a really significant issue to bring up. Termite infestation can absolutely devastate the structural integrity of buildings.
You're right, and this ties directly into our conversation about building code compliance and the risk of collapse, like we saw in Miami Beach.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because termite damage can weaken the very foundations and framework of a building.
If we connect this to remote inspections, detecting signs of termite infestation could be a crucial aspect of assessing a building's overall safety.
Exactly. While a remote video might not catch every subtle sign, visible damage could certainly be flagged.
And this reinforces the urgency we were just discussing, addressing structural weaknesses, whether... Yep, go on.
Remote video can capture the dropping of termites on the ground as they literally eat the frames of the house.
That's a really keen observation. You're right, even something as subtle as termite droppings could be visible in a remote video inspection.
Okay, let's unpack this, because you're highlighting how surprisingly detailed these remote assessments can be.
What's fascinating here is that these visual cues, like the termite droppings you mentioned, are direct indicators of activity.
Exactly. And if someone on site is aware of what to look for, or if AI is trained to recognize these signs,
it could provide early warnings of a significant infestation that might otherwise go unnoticed.
So your point really underscores how remote video can capture even small details that signal larger problems, like termites eating away at the structure.
It's another layer of information that can contribute to a more comprehensive safety assessment.
So your point really highlights another critical factor that can compromise a building's safety and needs urgent attention.
It's another area where delaying action to address the problem can lead to much larger and potentially catastrophic consequences.
And that data can inform our preparedness and response efforts, emphasizing that need to fix first and address funding later in an emergency, be it termites or other structural issues.
Learning